Hi everybody. Sorry about the blip earlier on. Hope you're all okay. I'm just standing here having a cup of tea and we're going to wait for a couple of people to join us. If you want to send me a message, then just put something in the chat. If you want to make comments, ask me questions, just ask away. Hope everybody's okay. It's a bit windy today. I woke up this morning to my door which was off my greenhouse, which was nice, but it's okay. It hasn't broken, so at least I can put it back. Probably a little bit windy to go out doing en plein air painting. It's quite difficult when it's windy to sort of organise yourself. So choose a nice, bright, sunny, not too hot a day unless you've got an umbrella. I know a lot of people carry umbrellas with them. I'm just going to take you through what I take out with me. If you hear a lot of rattling, my roof is made of corrugated iron, so that's the rattling that's happening. Alright, so let's see. I'll put my coffee down. So one of the things that I bought a few years ago that's been really useful is one of these. So this is a rucksack travel bag seat. So it has the main rucksack area in the front there with a couple of pockets. Nice and big, so you can get lots of stuff in. Couple of pockets on the side, pockets on the front, just so that you can put things like water bottles and stuff like that in. But the best thing about it is that it's a seat. So it's a transportable, portable, carryable seat. You can get these online. This is from Draper actually, but all the best known art brands do their own version of these. They come in various sizes and shapes. I know that some now come with a backrest on them, and some even have a sort of pole attachment where you can put in a small sort of shade, like an umbrella kind of thing, which is really good, obviously. So yeah, that was probably, I reckon, about £20. So very reasonable, and it's a good strong one. It takes my weight very well, but it's just great because it means you can go and sit anywhere you please, so that's grand. So have a think about investing in one of those. The next thing I take with me is one of these. So this is a travel box, and you can pick these up. I mean, I've even seen these in places like Wilko's and Lidl. Lidl did one, and they had one with a load of art materials in it as well a few years back, so it might be that you can still keep your eyes open, and every now and again they might have restock them. But they open like this, like so. So this enables you to put a canvas or a sketchbook. Let me just get one of these little canvases. So you can just pop a canvas in there and work onto it, and it's really stable. This lip here stops the thing from blowing away, but also if you're working on large sketchbooks, then you can do this, you see, which is great. Nice, stable, hard background to work on. But also inside it's got various compartments to keep paintbrushes, paints, etc, etc. And you can even, because the lid is quite hollow here, you can keep your notebooks and sketchbooks in there as well. Okay, it just opens and closes and clips like this, and then you can obviously carry it. Ooh, I've managed to clip myself into my box. There we go. That's better. Right, so it clips like that, and then the handle is there. Now they're not the lightest of things. I know that you can get some that are made out of lighter wood, but they're not the lightest of things to carry in, so you wouldn't want to sort of walk the Welsh coastal path with one of these in your hand for very long. So just be aware of that. The solidity that is beneficial in this respect is probably not as beneficial in the carrying of it. However, I have seen people who have attached straps to these so that they can carry them on their backs. So that's a good tip. Alright, so the other thing that I bring with me is a toolbox. So depending what I'm bringing or how I'm travelling, so if I'm going by car then I bring all this stuff. If I'm going on public transport or if I'm walking then I take the rucksack, and I would probably, this will go in my rucksack, but I've got a smaller one as well that will also go in my rucksack, but it really depends on how far you're walking, where you're going to, etc. But this is from Dale Rowney, probably, I don't know, maybe a tenner or something like that, and it unclips like that and then it opens out, and everything is in compartments, as you can see. Oops, that just dropped off. So you've got lots of different compartments, some with shallow areas, some longer areas, just so that you can fit paintbrushes, all sorts of different things in there. Now this is quite full because I tend to keep all my travel stuff together in one place, and then what I do is I decant what I need for the day depending on what I'm doing. So in here I have a selection of materials, some of which I might not take with me the whole time, but I've got a travel watercolour set. Now these are really great because they're small, and they also come with a paintbrush, and sometimes a little metal paintbrush which sort of fits inside itself, so it's even smaller. I've got a bit of web there, and they come generally with between sort of 8 and 10 little pans like this, and obviously you use the lid as your palette, and these come out so you can swap them over if you want certain colours for certain things. So if you don't need a red, for example, that day, you can take it out and put a blue in or whatever. Okay, but they're really useful. This is a Winsor & Newton one again. I've had this one for years and years and years, and I've got several sets, some of which have slightly smaller pans in so they can fit more in, so that's good. So always have one of those. If you're carrying acrylics, I'll just show you something that I haven't got ready. It's a little tray that I have here, but it's got a lid on it, and this little tray has little pots in it. I haven't got any of the pots with me today, but they have little pots in there, and what I do is I decant the acrylic paint into the little pots, and the little pots have see-through lids so you can see the colours that you've got available to you. But that's generally what I take with me when I'm acrylic painting. I'll just pop that back. I thought I had some of the pots. The other option is to take little canisters like this. So I've got old camera film canisters, which I use all the time, and I decant paint into those. So again, they're quite useful for transporting. You can take a series of small tubes. If you've got small tubes of acrylic, I have whopping great big tubes, you see, so I can't really, you know, I'd be carrying pounds and pounds of materials if I took all those with me. So in here I've got charcoal pencils, they're really useful. I've got my Posca pens. They're brilliant for just general drawing or putting white areas back in over watercolours and things like that. I've got normal pencils. I take a range of hardnesses, so I've got sort of 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, all of those. I've got a black fibre tip pen, a biro, and a blender. These blenders, these are really great for keeping yourself clean, so you don't have to smudge things like pastels. So if I was going out using pastels, then I would get rid of most of these materials in this box and replace them with my pastel sets or charcoal or vice versa, that sort of thing. So, but I tend to carry most of these things with me. So I've got a dirty cotton bud, which I only used yesterday, in here. I carry those with me all the time. A sharpener for both sizes, because I have charcoal pencils that are really chunky and won't fit into the standard sized sharpener. Putty rubber and a normal rubber. I've got a miniature sketchbook here, which has not been used yet. I got this from Muji, but it's really useful if you want to. I have several of these. If you want to just sketch down little ideas onto sheets of paper, it might be colour swatches or little doodles or whatever, notes and things like that. They're really useful. Magic sponge, that is good for using with watercolour. It's really excellent for lifting off colour. I've got a little mini notebook just in case I want to make notes. I carry with me lots of different types of clips and elastic bands. So paper clips, elastic bands, and these clips, and these are all to hold paper down and to hold canvas down and things like that in the wind if it's windy. So you just clip these on over the top of the paper and over the whatever structure you're holding your material down with. Really, really useful. Any form of clip will do. I've got a series of different sized brushes, and that would apply for watercolour and acrylic. So this one's a rigger brush, and then I've got a size, what's that, 8 round brush, and then I've got a size, probably that's a 1, just a normal round brush as well, but that does for detail also. So a range of brushes, a water bottle. Quite often you might be painting along the coastal path or something like that. You might not have access to fresh water. Don't use salt water, it'll eat your paint. There's an artist who works in mid Wales called David Bellamy, and he often paints up mountains, and he takes a rucksack with him with all this stuff on, but he puts gin into his water to stop it from freezing and also wears a ski suit to keep him warm. So a water pot, I use all my daughter's Flan yogurt pots. She eats hundreds of these things, so I use them for mixing paint and keeping water. A nice natural sponge for detail. I carry masking tape to stick things down, but also to put edges on. A couple of old socks for wiping stuff up. Pair of scissors just in case. And then I've got my lovely set of pens, the fibre tip pens, which I was using the other day for the Welsh spoon tutorial, which is on YouTube at the moment. They're excellent, and they come in a nice packet, so you can, you could just put those in your pocket if you needed. You could just take those and a sketchbook. You don't have to take all this gear that I've got here. Excuse me. And I've got a sort of drawing tool which I use. The edges for drawing straight lines and then circular forms. Excellent little thing. I picked that up in a charity shop. And then I've got a watercolour pencil set. But like I said, you don't really need to. I mean, if you bring your watercolour pencils with you, then you don't need to bring watercolours with you. You just need one paintbrush and a pot of water. So that could be something that you bring instead of bringing whole loads of toolboxes and things like that. But if you've got a rucksack, you can bring lots of different things. I often find myself stuck in certain situations where I'm doing some work and I'm thinking, oh, wish I had this, wish I had that. So I just bring as much as I can carry. So all this goes into my toolbox quite happily, and it's not too heavy. Again, it's something that you have to carry in your hand, so it wouldn't be something that you want to go long distance with. So just be aware of that again. you can always put your sandwiches in it as well, and your flask and all those sort of things. Okay, I have seen people with those sort of luggage trolleys full of stuff as well. That's really useful because you can just drag it then. You can put your seat in there, you can put your box in there and all that sort of thing, so that's great. I also have a portable easel which is in my loft at the moment, and I wasn't able to get it down, but they are lightweight easels which pack up into a sort of length about so. They often have a strap on them so you can put them on your back. So, and they come in sort of a variety of materials, wood and metal and all sorts of things. So have a look at those as well. Alright. So on to surfaces to take. So I mean, if you've got a small canvas, you can always bring that with you. But anything larger, if you put it on an easel, it's going to blow over, fall over. It's just going to do that all the time. Anything up to about an A4 will rest really neatly on my, I don't know what I've done with it. What have I done with that? Oh, there it is. On this. So anything up to about A4, maybe a bit bigger, you can get away with. But then you've got the problem of, oh, it's wet, what do I do with it, how do I carry it, you know, all that sort of thing. You know, if it's warm and you're only using thin acrylic, you know, within about 20 minutes, half an hour, the thin acrylic will have gone off, so it won't be too much of a concern. But anything else, and then you've got to carry it. So along with all your other stuff, then you know that is a consideration. All right. I've got landscape sketchbooks. I love these. So they're in what they call panoramic format. So they're long and thin, like this, and they've got ring bound, so you can actually fold the back right over so it lays flat, which is really useful. And then obviously you can do your landscapes in whatever format you want to do them in. So really, really useful, really easy to sort of transport around. Does take watercolour quite easily. It's only got cartridge paper, which is only really supposed to be for that's Llanstefan Castle. I think we did that a couple of years ago in one of my sketchbook outings on plein air with my students in Carnarvon. Yeah, so it'll take a certain amount of watercolour, but mainly I use it for pencil and pen drawing. That's a vertical one. So yeah, they're really good. So they're called panoramic sketchbooks. Check them out, really good they are. And you can get those in watercolour as well, so that's good. And then I've got mini sketchbooks. These little mini sketchbooks with the elastic on are really useful because again, if it's blowing a gale, you can hold your paper down and it stops it from flapping around. It's most irritating when that happens. But I've mainly been doing sort of drawings in these. So I'll just take a black biro or a black fibre tip pen, and like I said, that is really useful because it stops it from flapping around. Okay, nice mini sketchbook and a pen, just as good as anything else. And then you can obviously go larger. So I've got these bigger books which are great because they're quite lightweight, they're easy to carry, and you can work across the whole page. So you've got your A4, which is the normal size, but then if you open it up you've got an A3. This is a picture of the path leading up to Pen y Fan, which I did a while back. Really easy to work on. Cartridge paper again, does take some. Actually, I did my Brecon tutorial picture in here the other day. Does take some watercolour, but I mainly work in pen, etc, etc. But again, really useful, mainly because of the size. Okay. So we've got the sketchbooks. This is, oh, I've got a normal sketchbook. This sketchbook I bought for the En Plein Air sketchbook day in Ludlow, so I did a couple more sketches. This paper is good quality cartridge but not thick enough to put water onto, so I would have to stick to pencil in this, but again it's got the ring bound so you can flip it over, and it's got a hard back on it so you've got something to lean on if you haven't got anything to lean on. Okay, another thing I use is this, which is a Perspex grid. So I can use that to hold up against the landscape and look through, so I can sort of roughly mark out where things are supposed to be. So you would transfer the same grid onto your piece of paper or onto your canvas, and you would then transfer what's in each square into those squares on your surfaces. You can get much simpler versions. We've made simpler versions in class, which are just A4 sheet of what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. Plastic. It'll come to me in a minute. But this is plastic with inch by inch squares on. Okay, and you can have those printed actually in a print shop if you want it to be more solid. We just used permanent marker and a ruler to make one, and then we put the little sheet inside a poly pocket to transport it, and then you can put an image inside of it if you want to do that, but this is mainly for looking at the landscape. And you can also make yourself a little viewfinder out of a piece of card. So if you just cut a piece of card about so big and cut a rectangular shape out of the centre of it, you can then hold that up and look through that to plan and compose your images. So the last thing, well, not the last thing because I've got a couple of other things to talk about, is that I use these watercolour postcards a lot, and you can pick these up in packs from any art shop online, but they come with the markings on the back for the stamp and the address, and then it's a piece of watercolour paper, quite heavy weight, so you can throw some water at it, but I use these to I paint them with the intention of sending them to my friends and family but quite often end up keeping them because I like them too much. But these were some that I did while I was in India. Different little, this was in November last year, and I went to Darjeeling and Calcutta, and I love all the colours over in India, the bright, so you can see the postcard on the back. So they came back from India with me. This was taken in the sculpture district in Calcutta, and these are pieces of clay which they've mixed with straw, and they throw them against the walls to dry off slightly so they can then carve into them. And this was a sort of a bit of a head amongst a few stones, a bit of ceramic sculpture that had been cast aside. Okay, so you can then send them off or keep them, like alright, so the other thing to talk about is when you're outside, if it's warm, obviously put sun cream on. We've had so many visits down to Llanstefan and Larne and places where it looks fine, you know, the temperature's okay when you set off, but then it warms up, and as you're sitting down and you're drawing and painting, you tend to sort of take so much time, you're not thinking about it, and then suddenly you've got bright red heads. So make sure you take a bit of sun cream with you. Take protective clothing just in case it rains, comfortable shoes, that's another really important thing. A sun hat. I have a sun hat with a neck cover on, and that's really good because obviously my neck is exposed because I have my hair up and all that sort of stuff, so it covers my neck, which is the main bit that gets burned. Sandwiches, sweets, keep yourself happy, glass of tea, you know, go out and have a go. It's a really lovely thing to do, and a great way to pass the time, especially during the summer when it's fine. In the winter and autumn, I have a car which has a bonnet on it, an opening back, and I can sit on the back of the bonnet with the open back so it covers me. So I tend to do that quite a lot. I sit in bus stops. You might find me in all sorts of places, in the mouths of caves, you know, looking out to sea, all that sort of thing. Find a nice sheltered spot. And also somewhere that's reasonably quiet, unless you like to chat to people, because people will find you fascinating and will want to ask you questions, and they're very nosy, and sometimes they don't really consider what they're saying. So just be aware of that, you know, try and find a quiet spot if you don't want to chat to people. When I was in India once, I was sitting in a park and I was concentrating so hard I wasn't really aware of what was going on around me, but before I knew it there was about 150 people sitting and standing around me. But they're so polite over there that they just sit and watch, they don't ask questions, unlike in this country where people seem to want to know your life story. And also can be quite rude at times. So anyway, yeah, have a go out, have a maybe not today, it's a bit windy, but when the weather gets a little bit better, even if you just get out and sit in your garden and do a little bit of drawing, it's really good to draw from life, and really surprisingly enjoyable, and you learn a lot, and because you can see the real thing in front of you, much better than working from books or from photographs or whatever. You get a much better feeling of atmosphere, of weather changes, of light. I mean, that is one problem with working outside, is the light changing. You know, if you sit there for a couple of hours, the shadows and the reflections and everything will have moved. So consider that when you're drawing. Draw out your main sort of body of what you're doing, and leave things like shadows and reflections to the last minute, so that you don't get annoyed with the fact that they keep moving around. Okay, I hope that's been useful. I just want to mention that I've started a membership scheme that's going to run from the 1st of September. I've had a few questions about it, and I've had quite a lot of people joining already, which is really good. Thanks for joining if you've already joined. If you haven't, have a look on my Facebook page, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on my website, or on YouTube. There's information about all of these things all on there in more detail. But the membership starts on the 1st of September, and I've advised everybody to get in as soon as they can with the membership. But if you can't join until November or December, then that's fine, you know, just join when you can. And if you want, you know, you can join for 1 month and see how it goes. If you like it, you can carry on. You can join and pay for 3 months if you want to. It's entirely up to you. For the membership, it's £20 a month, and you get one tutorial, which is exclusive to you. It won't be live, it won't be free online, so it'll only be for members. And I won't be doing any more tutorials of length anymore, because I want my members to get that. So what I'll do is I'll do the odd little sort of tip and technique tutorials that I'll continue to put on YouTube for free, but the longer versions will be charged for. So like I said, it's £20 a month. For that you get one tutorial a week, and you get one art chat a week, which will be focused on that actual masterclass. So you will be talking about how to do things within it, if you've had trouble, if you haven't even started and you've got questions and all that sort of thing. And also you'll have access to me live, so you can ask me questions. Okay, if you've got any further questions, just contact me by email, by direct message or messenger on Facebook. You can pay by PayPal, direct debit, check. I know some of you still don't use direct debits and PayPal and things like that. It's fair enough, you can send me a check. Alright, yeah, the reason why I've started doing that is because I'm still not able to go back to work. We've been told that the Community Education Centre is too small for any more than 5 people, so they've decided not to open until November. So temporarily, all my students, if you want to join me online, you can, and then you can come back to class. But you might want to continue online as well as come to class. It's up to you. But you know, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me and have a chat if you feel like you need to. Okay, enjoy painting outside. I've just found a wonderful spot just up the road from here, which is on the Southie, and I went swimming there the other day and it was so beautiful that that'll be my next place to go painting. It's just by the road, so I don't have to travel too far, and there's a small sort of beachy bit where I can sit and you can look up the river, and there's lots of cascades and rocks and things like that. So hopefully I'll have a few paintings, drawings and sketches to show you at some point. Alright, bye for now, stay safe. Hope to see you at some point, maybe outside. Okay, cheerio for now, bye.